Okay, we are live on YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. Today on Talk, we're gonna discuss a little bit about business and communication. This conversation will be, focused on the business. Always, Tuesday on 9 a.m. we're gonna talk about business and the whole content that we need to learn from this field, learn to build ourselves in terms of to learn how to operate business and to understand this whole world. So, Sada, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. So I'm Sarah. I live here in Bahia, Ilhas, Bahia, to be more specific. I like to dance, to read. I'm learning English and French. I've been here since April, and I will never go home again. I really like this place. And I think that's it. I am a dog person. I would like to eat all the delicious food we have here in my state. And I'm also a person who likes to talk, so that's why I'm here.
Awesome. It's a lot. Jefferson, please.
I'll change my way to communicate now because it's a business. Good morning, guys. I'm Jefferson. I live in Goiânia. I'm professor of Brazilian economic, development economic, and agriculture in undergraduate and postgraduate course. I'm PhD. I'm professor of Catholic University of Goiás. It's a pleasure to be here with these good guys.
It's a lot, Dr. Jefferson. Junior, your turn.
Hello, you guys. You guys already know me. I am Junior. I'm 21 now. I just turned 21. I feel old as heck, but anyways.
Man, I really don't believe that. Oh my God. 21. Oh my God.
Is the beard. But if I remove it, you're gonna think I'm 15. But I'm here on Talk and Talk. I've been here for 2 years now, working like as official social media analyst here for around 6 months. And I'm also an English teacher. Been working here a little bit, helping with community management as well. And actually, we're like, speaking of work and this kind of stuff, I'm thinking of changing a little bit my career path because I was studying to become a developer, but I already spent my entire day in front of the computer, and it's not something I quite enjoy. I like more interaction, talking to people, and then I'm thinking about changing my course to something in the communication area. But I don't know yet. And that's
We have a lot of
it.
things to explore, on communication thing. We're gonna talk a little bit here today. As usual, I would like to start with the question number 7 because I think it's more interesting. So is good communication in innate ability? What do you think? Something that you're born with, or a natural behavior, or I don't know, skill? What do you think, Sada?
Well, I used to believe a lot in talent, but I gotta confess, nowadays I don't believe it so much. Yes, that's easier for some people to perform at some places, like communication and maybe being good at math, for example. But in general, nowadays I tend to believe that we can learn. It could be harder, of course, if you don't feel so comfortable around this topic. But I think you can learn because there's no explanation. There is an explanation for people who weren't born so communicative, and now they can talk, give a speech, and they work with this like at college or at some company. So it's really something you can develop, from my perspective. Yeah.
Nice. Interesting. Jefferson, how about you? What do you think? Is it natural or not?
Well, let me think just a little bit about this. It's not so, I think it's innate ability. Yeah, maybe. Because if you think about the best politicians, the best actors of the world, they communicated very, very well. But you have a lot of guys, I'm thinking now about, for example, about Henrique Meirelles, he's something different. I don't know why. It's very intelligent, but can communicate it well. And he is very good, very good. He make a very good job. So I'm just think about it. What's a good communication? When you express, you build relationship to a lot of guys. When you talk well, when you don't commit mistakes. That's very, very interesting. But I think is innate. That's the question. That's profound question. Just to finish, I think is innate, because you must have something. But as Sarah said, you can improve your communication. You can improve. Here in TNT, I see every day a lot of guys every day doing sorry, not Sarah. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I used to say. Never will be a good communicator. Every time say sorry. Oh, come on, my gosh.
Yeah, you brought a good thing about, the good communication. What does it mean? Like the first thing, sorry, insurance. The second one, do you believe that, we can born with this kind of skills? Okay. From my perspective, I believe that the environment, plays a very important role on the communication. Like, so if you see the politician, we usually see the people that born in a very, how can I say, very interesting, environment on the term, like, the people talking a lot about things and so on. This is what I think, but, you brought a very interesting point. What do you think, Junior?
I was trying to consider here, like, what does it mean to have an innate ability? Because if humans are complex things, and also maybe sometimes we have potential for a lot of stuff that we don't actually accomplish or we don't use because of the way we were brought up, because of our upbringing, because of our personality. There's a lot of stuff like that plays a role that changes whether you communicate well or not, the way you act, a lot of things. But like, I do believe communication is an innate ability, and it also it's not, I think everybody has a potential to achieve good communication, but some people are born with I wouldn't say born either. Like, I think it depends a lot, because it depends on whether you believe personality, which is a big factor for communication sometimes, is something that you inherit, it's something that's innate, that it's born with you, or it's something you develop, with the passage of time. Because if we think, like, sometimes, oh, there is this big stereotype, for example, that nerd people are more quiet or they are more introverts. I know a lot of nerd people, as I am, who are very good at communication. And I know a lot of people, very like extrovert people that suck at speaking, that like can talk to everybody, make friends, but if they have to communicate a message, do a presentation, talk in front of a lot of people, they freeze. So I think it's a innate ability, as well as an ability any person could master with study and practice.
Yeah, and sometimes if the people say something like, think it's native, the people, tend to feel like, oh my God, I didn't born with this kind of skill, so oh my God, I will never learn that thing. Or if you're born, oh, I'm natural, I'm good, even if the people do not communicate very well, something like is kind of very stuck thing, like, stuck behavior that you're born with and you cannot change. So we are here discussing only that things that sometimes some people that have some kind of facility, to learn, and others do not have, need to. I don't consider that, I'm very good communicator. However, I've been working a lot. Oh my God, I've been working a lot and very hard to do my thing. So I always say the same, I've been working a lot, and a lot of different things. So, for me, it do not matter like, oh, I born with this kind of thing or not. I need to work a lot. That's the point.
Yes,
Go
and
ahead,
there's like
Julian.
also a very misunderstanding, like that good communication is speaking a lot. It's not. There's a lot of people that they are frequently
Perfect.
silent, and when they open their mouths, they are very assertive. They make you understand what they want to say, even if they're introverts, if they don't speak much. There are people that talk, say nothing, So this misunderstanding that good communicating well is speaking a lot, it's not really true. Oftentimes it's more untrue rather than being true. So
Very awesome. On some point. So let's discuss that point. What is a good communication? What does it mean? Sarah, what do you think? What does it mean in terms of, what do you need to do, in your opinion? Connection, clear speech, or something else?
Yeah, for sure. The first thing, in my opinion, is to not master like you are perfect, but have a good level at the things you are trying to talk about. Not if it's informal situation, okay, you are talking with your friend, but at work you are doing a presentation, you have to know what you are talking about and study. If you are not so confident, you can also learn this about the topic and study and improve your skills. And the second thing that I've been seeing here a lot is to engage with people. That's not easy at all, to make people pay attention to you. Sometimes they might be distracted. And even if you have a good speech, a good content, people won't notice because they won't be paying attention. So if you can be spontaneous, engaging, and somehow connect with those people as well, I think when people see themselves in that situation, they connect more. Like, oh, I've faced the same thing, like I can relate to this experience. So I think that's really important as well. And because the human relations are really complex, and we need to figure out a lot of different things in order to have a good communication. That's all.
Perfect. Yeah, this is, really something that I would like to learn, how to capture, some types of attention, because I know I'm this kind of person, sometimes I'm listening a very good speech. However, I'm kind of bored, looks like I'm boring, but I'm not boring. However, I would like to be very, energetic in that term, like to capture the people. Jefferson, your turn.
Yeah, you have three points for me about the verbal communication. For example, you can listen to a person and to understand everything. Like when Johnny Rufino is talking, sometimes it's so high, so low. No, I think this is very important. The capacity to listen and to understand sometimes. I think this is very important. I'm thinking about a lot of professors that they used to write so well, but they can't communicate it. It's not so good when they gonna talk. I have I had and I have a lot of professors that can write so well, but can communicate it. And non-verbal communication, when you communicate with the body. I don't like when I'm here on TNT and talk with the guy, and the guy is looking for the roof, look for other side, and can put your face and something like this. I hate this kind of thing, because I need to see to face. I remember about the remote classes, terrible. Well, I can't see the guys from the other side. It's impossible to communicate. I'm communicating with myself. Terrible situation. Now I can see the eyes of the guys. I can see the body. I think the body is very important to communicate. I think this is the 3 points of a good communication.
Awesome, very good. I think this kind of conversation is so interesting because I start to create a lot of different questions, that there isn't here. Junior, how about you? Tell us, share with us your tips to be a good communicator.
It's funny to hear people say I'm a good communicator. I consider myself a quite confusing person. Both confusing and confused. But, for me, a good communication, as Jefferson said, there are many types of communication. Body language, nonverbal communication, reading communication. Sometimes you only hear voice, sometimes you see face, there's video, there's a lot of ways to communicate. Even art would be a way to communicate something. So I believe that good communication is getting the message across. If the person understands and is able to internalize what you're saying to get the message, and if possible, the ideal situation to give feedback from what you said, to process the information and give something back is the ideal scenario, then it's good communication. And there are several ways of doing so. First, you have to think, like we was talking on the video, how to make the person understand you. And remember, it's not only about the person understanding me, but communication is a two-way highway. So is the person understanding me, but am I understanding the person as well? What's the best way to communicate? How can I approach this person in a better way? If I sit here stiff like this and just move my mouth, sometimes it's going to be boring as hell. So I try to make my communication in a way that I am approachable, that I'm like a regular human being that you can approach, that you can talk to me and it's nice and you can discuss stuff. So there are many ways of doing good communication, but as long as you get the message across, I think that's the point,
Awesome, really awesome. Yeah, I think, very good, because I'm thinking here, for example, the challenge in the communication is, is try to have all people's attention. Like, for example, I'm talking to you, it's very easy because you are, very open to listen to me. But the challenge here on Talk and Talk is to, for example, capture attention of that person that Jefferson said, like the person's kind of, they are not paying attention and oh my God, I don't care and so on. And you're trying to, I need to develop a way to connect that person. This is the challenge of the communication, and it's the role of the communicator. For me, I see here, as a challenge, every single day that I'm running here a conversation, because I need to try something different. So, oh my God, I need to do something if I want to read that point, or if I do that thing, if I want to read other point. So I'm trying to, build strategy in terms of, connect people and so on, and try to create the movement and the conversation. So for me, this is really interesting. But nowadays we see this kind of thing rising, this TikToker behavior of thing that, you know, it's other side of, yeah. So for me, it's really, really, you know, crazy when you see that sometimes if you stay, like you said, Julian, like, you know, very stuck and more person kind of, you know, almost dying, the people, you know, do not connect. However, you know, TikTok dancing, man, you know, imagine this situation in the future. Every single person that wants to get the attention, you know, have to dance something, or, you know, some choreography to get the attention and so on. What do you think about this? You know, the future of the communication when you see TikTok, for example. This will be the question.
We interrupt your normal program, your normal TV programmation for a statement of the president, and then the president starts. Fellow Brazilians.
Yeah, totally there. The minister, you know, behind trying to do the same.
Yes. Then we're gonna have a minister of communications has to be a TikToker, you know.
Totally, man. And yeah, this is the question. Well, you know, how do you see the future of the communication? Sarah, I will address to you. Jefferson, do you want to add something?
No, lady first.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Joking, Paul, let's go. Oh my God. In my perspective, we won't have the future like it will be mandatory to be a TikToker and present in that kind of way, but it will be necessary to find some ways to connect with the youngest people, for example, teenagers. And if you can use this tool and you think you're gonna do good, I don't see why not. But for me, it would be really embarrassing to explain my work or my activities using some dancing or things like this. I prefer to explain in a good, engaging way, but without moving so much my body, you know. I prefer people to focus on what I'm saying and not what the movements I'm doing, because I think it could be a little distracting and people might get used to just watching 30-second video and, oh, I know. Now I know what I had to know. Doesn't work like this. You have to search for knowledge and improve your communication. And I don't know, but it's really complicated to just use this tool for our communication in the future. I don't think it would be a good option. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Very important. Yeah. Very good answer. Jefferson.
I think TikTok, it's a new means, like it's a new Twitter. It's a new Twitter. You can communicate in 3 minutes. In 3 minutes. I'm very worried about this because my students, they can pay attention than something that I can show just to draw attention. 3 minutes. And for example, a good film or a good series, something more than 50 minutes, they can't pay attention now. So I think we live in a society that can pay attention for almost nothing. And TikTok, I think, is the best way for these guys that can pay attention. But how can you learn? How can you improve your knowledge with TikTok? I was talking with my students, for example, if you watch a film, you will spend 1 hour and a half, okay, in a film, at least. If you can watch TikTok, you can watch 20 TikToks in 1 hour and a half. You have a lot of ideas, a lot of subjects, then you can watch at the same time. But how can you know, how can you learn from all of this? So it's very complicated. And just to finish, I see almost every day here a lot of guys that they doing 3 or 4 things at the same time. And most of the time he used to say, for example, yesterday, a guy, what is the question? Is number 8, is number 9, is number 1, is number 2? Oh my gosh, they can't pay attention. What are you doing here? You are here to communicate well, to improve your communication, but you can pay attention or draw attention. What are we doing? If you didn't pay attention for the questions, you can discuss the question, you can be a well communicator.
Yeah, very good point. And I totally agree. I think we are losing the ability to pay attention in one thing. Like, even, sometimes reading a book or listen a song. For example, I saw the last show of Milton Nascimento. Man, it's awesome, but it's almost 2 hours, and you need to, it's a time to contemplate the music. It's a time to see, to understand more. And sometimes the people do not care about this kind of thing. Nowadays, we see a lot there. So, Junior, answer the question. Your turn
No, I
to
refuse.
at some point. No problem. Problem. Yeah, if I'm better communicator, okay, you can say it, girl.
Junior, kick the bucket.
Yeah.
I know, you kick the bucket.
No, you see, there is these kind of stuff, like the break of the expectation, like it's difficult to draw people's attention, it's quite difficult. Every time I have to record a story to post on Instagram, I have to think, how am I going to communicate? Like, who do I want to talk to? Am I talking to a person that's going to pay more attention if I dance? Am I talking to a person that's going to pay more attention if I just stay stiff? Am I talking to a person that's going to pay attention if I'm fully naked? Who do I want to talk to, and how can I get the attention of this person? Because, and that's usually what I do. I'm like, okay, let's talk about the big pink elephant that's flying in the middle of the room. I'm going to talk about being naked. I'm going to get the attention of the people by breaking the expectation. You're not expecting me to talk about being naked in here, but I am, And so, like, right now, it's a big war for people's attention. It always has been, but now we have a lot more information. We have access to a lot more stuff, and the big companies, they are understanding something that's old, because researchers about focus, about both communication and focus, are really old, and they have been telling us for decades now that focus is something short. You might watch a video or a movie for 1.5 hours. You might watch a 4-hour lecture. Your focus is going to be like around 3%, 10% of that period. You're only going to focus for maybe 3 minutes, 10 minutes on a part. And now the big companies are understanding that. So, for example, on TikTok, Instagram, they're making stuff short, that break your expectation, that draw your attention, that's really trending, that's really, what's the word for it? I forgot the word, but for you to pay attention. And the problem of that is it's repetitive focus. So when you watch a video, a short video on Instagram, it draws your attention. The next one draws your attention as well. The next one draws your attention as well, because it's interesting, because it's funny, because it's nice, and because it's something that's triggering something in your brain, that's giving you those hormones that make you happy. And these get us tired. So when Jefferson students spend 2 hours on TikTok, they're spending so much of their brain energy and so much of their focus that when they get to class, they won't be able to pay attention, to focus, or to understand anything, because their energy has been fully drained already, So then Jefferson has to enter the zone of war of getting people's attention and figure out how am I going to be as interesting to these teenagers and young people as TikTok is. So is he going to give several classes of 1 minute each? So it's always been a war for attention.
Yeah, very, you said everything. Like, I think it is the obligation of the communicator sometimes, because if you want to be, if you want to be clear, you need to, work a lot on it and try to, kind of enter in this environment. We cannot avoid that. Like, now we see the TikTokers like a virus, like, however, you need to understand the communication of the symbol, the behavior of the people that have watching TikTok videos. And you brought a very interesting point, about the competition of attention. It's not only with TikTok, even Instagram, Facebook in the past, Twitter, and you see, emails and, WhatsApp, and now a Telegram, all this kind of, program trying to have you. So this is a very good things to reflect about the communication. And back, to the main topic, we are discussing here about the business. So the competition of the message, the symbol, trying to catch people's attention, and to work yourself on it, like learn how to manipulate, the words, how to portray yourself in terms of, body language. So this is really interesting point. Thank you all for your answer. So I would like to hear now, how would you define, I created a lot of different questions in my mind, so I will just say here, how would you define your communication, like your type of communication? Like, I'm Sarah and I used to communicate. I think I communicate like this or like that. I like to use this approach or that approach and so on. Sarah, you can start defining your type of communication.
Yeah, I could use only a word for it, but maybe I read the question about small talk, and I think that's how I operate a little bit. Like when I'm here, I always try to not only talk about the topic, but try to find some connection. Like you mentioned, you went to a concert. I'm gonna ask you at the beginning, of course, how was the concert? How was the weekend? And I believe if you can bring other things to the table, not only to specifically talk about the topic you choose, you can make people more comfortable. I think that's something that I always try to do when I'm communicating with others. So this making you feel welcome, and I don't know, it's important because that's how I like when I try to talk with someone. I like to be understood, and for me, it's very comfortable to just say something. Oh, I just got here, and you're saying, oh, that's the work we have to do today. Don't, didn't ask about, I don't know, it doesn't have to be a long conversation, but just to break the ice a little bit. I think that's very important. So that's what I like to do when I'm talking, and it usually works. Sometimes people are distracted, like Jefferson mentioned, but it's okay. It's part of the process. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to, get every person attention. But very good. I really, I really love this kind of conversation that you mentioned as well. Like, to create different things and try to kind of, be relaxed in the conversation. I think this is a very good way to, even if some people do not pay attention, enough and the way you want. However, it's good because for you, the communication, it's being good in terms of, because, I really believe that when you are tranquil, in your communication, the people will feel the energy, like, feel that you are tranquil saying the things. So this is something that I need to work on me like a lot to be kind of good, and relaxed and you start a conversation, so on. So yeah, about the smart talk and so on, the connection, the things, the details, awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Jefferson, how about you?
In my case, the best way to measure this is by feedback. And I have feedback about my classes. It's very important. I have a very good feedback, good scores, but it's not so easy to teach today. But I changed the strategy after 15 minutes. For example, when I'm in lecture something very difficult, a kind of what? When I talk about a theory, it's not so easy about the theory. And the guys can pay attention for me using cell phones or laptops. I used to ask him something. What is the price of Petrobras now? Can you see by your laptop now? It's okay. What is the level of inflation in the last 12 months? And they used to search for this. And we change. I use this strategy every day for the guys to pay attention for me. I think it's a good strategy. It's working a lot. Because if you think about 30 guys in the class and you think about 15, just pay attention for your laptop and your smartphone, something is not working. The communication is not so good. So I need to change. As I said, every 15 minutes, I change my strategy to teach.
Very good point in strategy, because I think, something that's kind of close to this kind of approach is here when we create question and the people don't know how to answer, because what's the question? Question number, no, I just created the question right now. So you need to answer. Sometimes the people need to be connect if they want to really, have the conversation and connect. Very good strategy. Junior?
The part of focus is also, it's really interesting because there might be some noise in the communication, and also things you wouldn't expect. Sometimes it's about you, sometimes it isn't about you, but how you handle stuff. 2 weeks ago, I did an immersion on a Friday, and when I was making the questions, I was like, okay, I'm going full on this immersion. This is going to be one of the most difficult questions I've ever written. And they were. I made an immersion about who runs the world. And then I made a lot of questions about running the world. But when it got to the immersion, everything that could happen to throw me off my game happened. There was a person that wasn't supposed to be there and that was trying to enter the immersion, and I had to keep, denying this person entry. There was a person with microphone problems. There was another person that was there for the first time and didn't understand how TNT Talk worked very well and only wanted to listen. And then there were the other people who could participate, didn't want to open their camera. So I was the only one showing my not so beautiful face on YouTube. And then the people who were willing and that wanted to speak, were going to speak in the immersion, they were very beginners. And the questions were very complicated. So then in the part of the immersion that the question that says, do you think you would be able to run the whole world? The person answered on their level of understanding. They understand the run is running, and that's it. So he said, I don't think I'd be able to run the entire world, even because there's the sea, so maybe I will have to swim a little, or I don't know, ride a dolphin or something like that. But so I don't think I'd be able. Then I was like, okay, what do I do now? How do I change my communication in order to make these complicated questions understandable for them? Or maybe should I change? Should I go just roll with it? He's talking about running around the world, so let's continue talking about running around the world. And then I had to change the entire communication I had proposed for that immersion to make it understandable, to make it enjoyable for the people participating. you know? So I relate a lot to what Jefferson said about getting the feedback, you know? Are you getting any feedback? Are people understanding? Are they able to communicate back to you? Because I think that's the point. When you're only, and I love speaking. This moment right now when I'm speaking, you guys are listening to me. This is the apex of my happiness. So it's something I really enjoy. But at the end of what I say, are you guys able to give me any feedback and to continue the conversation and to pass the information along, to process it? You know, so that's it. When I'm getting feedback, even if it's bad, even if you say you suck and you said a bunch of stuff that don't make any sense, at least I know I communicated and you understood. You just didn't like, you know.
Man, let me provoke you. I consider nowadays, I truly consider nowadays that if you have a bad feedback, it's better than, you know, a good feedback. I've seen a lot here, you know, in talk the people like, I love your conversation. Damn, I love a conversation. And, you know, it's awesome. Oh my God, man, you know, for me, you know, seems like the people are not, you know, thinking about the conversation. But if the people get the bad feedback for you, man, that person really, you know, paid attention on you, like wasn't good, or, you know, or you need to work on something, you know, in a specific thing and so on. So I consider very sincere, you know, the bad feedback, like, you know, you did something wrong and you need to work on it, because, you know, the bad feedback is the way that you can evolve more, you know, develop your skills in terms of communication. The people sometimes in a very automatic way, very robotic, you know, get the number 10 for you, like, oh, Junior is awesome, he's very beautiful, he's always smiling and so on. You know, very automatic answers. So nowadays I like a lot, you know, to hear different things.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine some? I'm putting. I'm sick and tired of Junior Rufino or Endo. I never will put this word. Oh, it's so good. It's amazing. Good questions, good guys.
Yeah, because, you know, even have, you know, to give a feedback is hard. Sometimes even, you know, I'm not saying the people that are giving the, you know, the feedback, but for us, like, you know, sometimes we are in a conversation. Oh my God, I need to think about the conversation, and you know, to have your time to reflect. Oh, it was good. That thing was good. It wasn't good, and so on.
But one day I put there 6 guys at the same meeting. It's impossible to talk. And the guys didn't answer the questions. And which big problem. When I talk something, the guys respond in Italian. Made a comment about my question. And the other guys made a comment again. Come on. It's impossible to talk.
Yeah.
In 1 hour, I talk only, I think, 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it's hard to manage this kind of thing. For example, if you leave 4 people, for example, we had this experience a lot. You know, 4 people, sometimes the people not open the camera, or the people leave the conversation. And it's hard because the people feel shy, and, you know, we mess all the conversation, all the small room and so on. It's create a very hard situation. However, we have working on it, like, you know, the better size of the small room, so on. But it's also about the communication and, you know, our perception here. I think it's an awesome, you know, environment that we have to comprehend the people's behavior. Like, we have a lot of people with a lot of different age, different opinions, you know, different level of English. So we need to, you know, to connect and to build the communications. Also, this is really, for me, it's instigate me to do the thing, because I think it's very awesome. I'm curious. That's it, my kind of personality. So guys,
and I have a question. I have a question for
ahead.
you, Sarah and Junior. What about the feedback of the
I will
survey?
send right now. Thanks a lot for remembering me, the feedback.
No, but all the meetings, what is about the feedback? what they are, they put in on words.
Well,
What
for
is
me,
the
I will
answers
say,
of the guys?
about me, yeah. I used to read the feedback to measure the level of the conversation that people like or not, and sometimes to see some opinions or suggestion that the people. So I really ask them. I really appreciate when I read some suggestion of the people. Like I would like to talk about this or that, because if I stay stuck in my bubble, sometimes I feel kind of boring. Like, man, I really want to talk about a different thing, very different thing. To challenge myself, I'm running this conversation about business that I don't know anything, but I have reading a lot. So I'm just working here. But Sarah, answer this question, Jefferson's question.
Yes, it's a good one. I always
Good one.
read the comments, so you can say whatever. I will read and I will find you. I'm kidding. That's not a threat. But I would like to read to know the perception about the immersion and to get some suggestions as well. Last week I commented about the 7 that I got, and for me it was like a 0 because 7 is like, why 7? Just explain to me, But the guy just said, oh, it was my first time, so maybe I'll change my mind in the future. And I think it's a part of the communication here. Sometimes I I think about something differently when I created the questions, and the immersion, it's totally a different meaning. People get a different interpretation of the questions. It's natural. But yeah, I think it is a good way to measure the how good was your immersion, what do you need to change, and so on. Sometimes people might talk about the sound, for example, so maybe I should change my equipment or something like this. So, but generally they just talk about the topic itself, if they liked it or not. They don't say a lot of constructive comments, just the basic. At least for me, they don't give a lot of suggestions to improve.
Junior?
Yeah, I got a feedback the other day saying something that was really interesting. The person said, no, the immersion was good, was pretty nice. But I noticed that sometimes it wasn't like a new person. This was a talker that has been to Talk and Talk for a long while. We don't know the names of the people who put the feedback, but for the way the person was, and that's really interesting, the way the person communicated made me understand that it was a long day talker. And they said, I started noticing that sometimes there are new people in the conversations and they need help. They need to understand how TNT works and everything. But sometimes you guys don't talk to them. And it's not because you're not trying. Sometimes you ask, is there anyone new to TNT? But the person is nervous. The person is there for the first time, so they might not hear it or they might not understand it, especially if they're nervous or they are a person that are beginners in the language. So then I understand, that really makes sense. And then now when I start my immersions, I usually try to ask these questions in Portuguese. I ask it both in English and in Portuguese. Is there anyone new here? Tem alguém novo aqui hoje? In case the person is nervous, doesn't understand, because, I might miss the chance to help this person get the confidence to speak in English. So there are a lot of takeaways, a lot of insights that people give us on feedback that are really interesting. But to be honest, though, I don't read the feedbacks very often. I don't think sometimes I read, I have like 4 classes. I have 6 meetings every week. I think sometimes I read only 2 of them. I don't read all of them. But I enjoy the feedback face-to-face a little more. Exactly because of this part of like, I like to make people comfortable to talk to me. So if I know you felt comfortable enough to give your feedback to me, talking to me, looking in my eye, that's when I know that I achieved, really good communication and built a safe space for us in here. So I like sometimes at the end of classes or immersions to ask how it went to people. And I know because of the pressure, being live on YouTube, other people around, you're probably gonna say it was all right. But when a person is confident and feels safe enough to say to me, no, don't really like that part, I got really happy.
Guys, thanks a lot. It's a very good way to finish this conversation. about the feedback, send me your suggestions if you want to improve this conversation, freely. If you want to criticize, feel free to do it. And go ahead, Jefferson.
Well, we'll change the question now. Based on your experience of class, what your probability to recommend us? It's different now. It's the same question? It's
I think
different
it
now. His satisfaction.
Yeah, no, there's a new one. The new
It's a new
question to
one question.
feedback.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, I didn't know. Very good.
Just recommend it.
Oh,
And not
I think
about
it
the
changed.
really
meeting.
nice. Awesome.
Nice.
I didn't see that.
I'm
Oh my
gonna
God,
put a
Jefferson,
0 because I don't want to recommend.
very
I want to
detail-oriented
just to myself.
If you want to recommend, suggest, feel free to do it live on YouTube. It's your turn. The stage is yours. Do it right now. Guys, thanks a lot for this conversation. We don't have time, but if you want to really suggest the things, feel free to do it. It was awesome, really awesome. I love this kind of conversation because it's something that I've been learning a lot from you. So when I learn, I feel that the communication was really active in a very good way. So this is my point, and thanks a lot. Have a very good week, and see you in the next week. Okay, to talk about business again. Bye bye.
See ya. Take care.
Bye, guys.
And